A year ago, Australia's dairy industry was reeling from the impact of the global financial crisis and drought. Milk prices had slumped, production costs had skyrocketed, and there was talk of an industry in crisis. 12 months on, the picture is dramatically different. The weather has been very kind, and Australia's two giant markets, China and India, again have a taste for dairy products.
It's often said that the fortunes of the farmer are governed by the weather and the world economy. For Australia's dairy industry, that has never rung more true.
I didn't move the heifers.
Yeah, they got enough grass, but you gave them a bale of hay.
Yeah, 2 or 3 days. They were happy.
Well, they made short work of that.
Yeah, they have.
This time last year, dairy farmers were being squeezed on most fronts.
We were facing almost a crisis in some regions of the dairy industry. We had low prices. We'd had a mid-season milk price cut and the prospect of pretty low prices opening for the following season. And we also had historically low water allocations in some of the irrigation regions. So for those regions, without the ability to reduce input costs, they were facing a situation of basically producing milk at below the cost of production. So pretty much crisis for the industry.
We came off record high milk prices 3 seasons ago and then almost went to record lows in one announcement last February. So it's been a real roller coaster. Farmers are making big decisions, milking less cows, cutting their grain back. The rainfall was below average, so it was looking pretty bleak at that stage.
Come on.
12 months later, and it's full steam ahead.
Come on.
We've seen a dramatic turnaround in that, and that's been very welcome.
What a difference a year makes.
Dairy's recent rollercoaster ride was outlined at an industry briefing in Melbourne last week.
A market recovery has combined with the best spring and autumn conditions for many years. Combined with low grain and fodder prices, the coming season offers the best opportunity for southern farmers in terms of profit margins for many years. Significantly better, in fact, than 2007 and 8, when farm gate prices peaked.
The confidence stems mostly from one factor: China.
Their demand for whole milk powder, and particularly from our industry, infant milk formula, has been a very significant driver of the improvement in commodity prices over the last 12 months.
China is a great destination for food. It's obviously got a lot of people. They're getting hungrier, they're getting more urbanised, getting more Western diets. On top of that, you've had some food safety issues come through in the last 12 months, the melamine scare. So that has all gone to Australia's favour as far as promoting exports. We've got the emerging markets bouncing quicker and higher than first thought, and that's where Australian dairy goes. So that's all good news for the dairy farmer.
Reflecting that upswing, Burra Foods, based in Curramburra in Victoria's South Gippsland region, has just announced it will this season pay its farmers 30% more for their milk.
We didn't think it was an extraordinary price, but our reading of the tea leaves and our business tells us that it's very affordable, and it's very much a recovery of 12 months ago when the industry was in a very dark spot with very dark clouds.
The steam clouds rise from Burra's factory. Soon there'll be more steam. A multi-million-dollar expansion, including a milk powder drying facility, opens in August, boosting production capacity to more than 1 million litres of milk per day. It will mean 50 more jobs, taking the workforce from 80 to 130. In most dairying districts, dairy cows are also on the rise.
You can see that in the markets. Prices for dairy cows have already gone up, so the demand's gone up. People are a bit more optimistic about what's coming up.
The Lepin family plan to increase their 300-strong herd by 10%.
It doesn't sound like much, but we're probably already fairly heavily stocked for these hills and for Gippsland. We're above the average stocking rate, so another 30 puts a little bit more pressure on, but we're going to take advantage of the lower grain prices.
Suddenly others are eyeing opportunities in dairying.
As soon as the milk price is announced, land prices jump. People want to get into the industry, particularly down here, natural rainfall. We're getting people from the north coming back down, putting demand on the land prices.
This is ideal dairying country. With its reliable rainfall, temperate climate and fertile soils, South Gippsland is amongst the most cost-efficient regions in the world to produce milk. A nationwide survey of dairy farmers reveals irrigation water, its cost and scarcity, remains a major concern in many dairy regions.
Definitely so, and those changes in seasonal conditions that we've seen and a more normal seasonal pattern and inflows into quite a few of our regions and replenishment of water storage has been welcome. However, underlying that obviously is a discussion around water and availability into the future.
Across southern Australia, the paucity and price of water is profound.
You've basically got Victoria with 1 billion less litres than it had 10 years ago. So you've got the stainless steel in situ to process that extra milk, but production is down. And that's all about northern Victoria and the irrigation country, which you know the story well.
Burra Foods was born 23 years ago after taking over the disused Currumburra milk factory. It quickly forged a reputation as a reliable supplier of dairy ingredient products such as cream cheese and frozen milk concentrates to export markets, especially Asia. The Crothers family owns a majority share. Several years ago, Japanese corporate giant Itochu bought a 45% stake, and the capital is funding Burra's expansion. Last year's turnover was $80 million. The company's success affirms Australia's growing importance to Asia.
The Oceania Australian story has been 30 years in the making as a credible, reliable supplier of quality ingredients. And all the exporters have been doing a fantastic job, and that's continuing. So as Asia's prosperity increases, Australia's at the forefront of that for dairy. Meanwhile, Europe are reducing their subsidies, a little bit inward-looking, staying out of the ingredient markets, and more doing cheese and domestic products. Clean and green is an important message, without a doubt, and traceability, food safety, security of supply are the big headline issues.
Farmers are also getting more competitive, and it's not all about producing more milk. That's why the Leppins have a herd of Aussie Reds.
They're an Australian red breed, they call it, which is a mix of any red genetics in the world that you like to use, red dairy genetics. I suppose they're a mongrel, but that's what the title Aussie Reds mean. A moderate milk flow, so not a huge amount of litres, but a good amount of litres and high components.
Components are the valuable parts in milk, the percentage of protein and butterfat. Few foresaw that the shockwaves from the global financial crisis would be felt all the way to Australia's dairy pastures.
We'd come off very high commodity prices just prior to the global financial crisis. We actually had a long way to fall.
And if many are surprised by the rapid recovery, it's simply proof that for all the hype, Australia is still a small player on the world stage.
If you look at industry analysts, their reports are that get used to it. That's what it's going to be. So we have to plan for that. As long as it doesn't drop too low and it remains fairly even, that's all right. Even though the milk prices have increased and the opening prices are healthy, it probably needs to be even higher for farmers to get the return on their capital that they've got invested.
And to erase the debts that many have run up lately.
Given the combination of better milk prices and lower input prices, particularly grain and fodder, we've got the potential for very good operating margins for at least the next 12 months. So hopefully farmers can make up a bit of ground.
It's a nice position to be in, that your product is in demand, and now the ball's in our court. We can make decisions where we want to send our milk